Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to the channel. So, I'll be reacting to this news breakdown about the situation between the US and Iran, especially with the tension around the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important shipping routes in the world. Like 20% of the world's oil comes from this shipping route. So, basically, any disruption would impact not only the US but the world economy. And guess what? I've already seen news reports about oil prices going up. So, this could definitely put pressure on the US economy and lead to an inflation of gas prices. So, yeah, the economy around the world is influenced by the relationship the US has with countries like Iran. And also, since oil is not only an import but an export of the US. And something to know is that the US has big influence over the supply chains where trade is facilitated. And I think that's part of why events like this get the news coverage and the attention that they do. So, with that being said, let's see what they have to say.
The U.S. military confirming Sunday it has seized an Iranian cargo ship that President Trump says tried to break through the naval blockade around the Strait of Hormuz.
Trump detailed the encounter in a post on Truth Social, writing, "Today, an Iranian flagged cargo ship named Tosca, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade, and it did not go well for them. The U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer USS Spruance intercepted the Tosca in the Gulf of Oman and gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room."
Now, U.S. CENTCOM later confirmed the ship's seizure, posting clips to X. Take a listen.
Motor vessel Tosca.
Okay, so they're talking about the incident with the Tosca ship. And like the news segment mentions, there's an accusation that the ship passed by the US naval blockade, which I feel like that's just a label that people like Trump and other US media outlets have described the strengthened naval presence around the strait. But the purpose for the naval patrol is to monitor the shipping routes to make sure that everything goes smoothly. I don't know if there's like an official, fully developed blockade around the strait though.
Motor vessel
This is the video that they're showing about the US seizing this Iranian ship called Tosca and attacking it.
Tosca. Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
You can see the Spruance firing on the Tosca and the Marines later boarding it. CENTCOM says U.S. forces gave repeated warnings over 6 hours before firing. As of this morning, it's presumably still under U.S. military control. But despite the military's insistence that they, quote, acted in a deliberate, professional, and proportional manner, Iran was quick to accuse the U.S. of violating the current ceasefire. A spokesperson for Iranian military warned in a statement on state media that they would, quote, soon respond to this act of armed piracy and theft by the American military, and they vowed to retaliate.
That came just hours after President.
But the US seizing this Iranian ship was basically, in the view of the US, meant to enforce protection. But clearly, Iran has a different view on this, and they see this incident as an act of piracy. And to be honest, just from the description given of what happened, it does seem like the incident aligns with the definition of piracy, which basically means to literally steal and attack ships. So, this has been accused of violating the ceasefire deal. And the ceasefire deal is a short term initiative for maintaining diplomacy between the US and Iran. And part of the deal, even though I don't think it's an official pact or a treaty, but more of a framework, is for less military strikes. So I think the perception of a violation might have motivated Iran to express this sort of retaliation since they feel the US initially acted in the wrong with the ship incident. And also, after the ship was taken, I have seen a few rumors about the Strait of Hormuz closing, because I believe on Friday there were reports that it opened up, but I've heard more recent claims that it closed back up again, which I haven't seen like a legit verification of that. So I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. I'm not exactly sure what the status is as far as for the Strait, but either way, tensions can definitely make shipping riskier and monitored even more. So let's see what follows here.
On of violating the ceasefire in a separate incident, Trump posted to True Social in part, Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. Many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the United Kingdom. That wasn't nice, was it? We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. He continued, if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done.
So
Uh-oh.
this season,
I have to say, his tone sounds pretty loaded, especially at the end. But reports like this, it does happen in geopolitical reporting, especially when there's tension that's high like this. So it doesn't automatically mean immediate action is going to follow. But with Trump, you never know. You never know.
supposed to end Wednesday. So tell me, through the picture we just
He said the ceasefire agreement is supposed to end Wednesday. That's literally in like 2 days from now.
painted in this reading, if we look anywhere close to a deal. I mean, we look like we're even further from a ceasefire being active and two now incidents.
We're violating a cease. We're enforcing this blockade, right? We gave them warning. Don't try this.
Right, the blockade that we also
Yeah.
blockaded. I mean, it's just
Okay,
compounding.
well, yeah.
I know.
So
So
we didn't violate the ceasefire.
but we're
I
also
reject that idea.
I'm not saying that we did. I said
Okay, I can see some healthy disagreement going on between the news hosts, and it's pretty refreshing, I have to say.
we're compounding the issues. We're also sending even more troops and preparing for war even more at the same time, saying that we're looking for an amicable deal. The conversation is that that's to protect ourselves
Well,
in case a deal doesn't come through.
right.
Yeah, but at the same time, now we're threatening energy infrastructure. According to international law, that could be viewed as a war crime. There are people criticizing that currently right now, saying that if we take out some of their energy infrastructure, we can affect things like hospitals.
Funding
That's not something that we would like to do.
Okay, so I have to stop here because I have to say, I don't fully agree with her on this. Like, even though she didn't say this directly in her words, from her point, it almost sounds like she's implying the US could potentially contribute to like a global energy crisis, which I'm not in agreement with that. Like, even though I sympathize with where her point is coming from, let's look at it like this. So, like I said before, the Strait of Hormuz is responsible for the passing of at least 20% of the world's oil. I mean, that's like a fair amount of the world distribution of oil, but 20% is like a fifth. And there's other natural resources. And then she also claims that this could jeopardize the US being accountable for a war crime, which, I mean, that sounds like pretty. I don't know if I'm in agreement. I mean,
That's not something that we'd like to do, is what I'm saying. That we're the,
and how exactly would the US be held accountable for committing a war crime?
we're engaged in a war of choice, and we're going to next levels instead
We're
of
not constrained by international law, so we're just going to set that aside.
Fine.
We can't be constrained by international law if the people we're at war with don't care about. Like, international law is just used to stop, to harm America, to compromise our. We are subject to our own laws, not some international body. That's my view on that.
Okay, well, I disagree. I think we have international law for a reason outside of just controlling the U.S.
But Russia doesn't care about that, and China doesn't care about that, and sponsors of terrorists.
All right, I'm gonna stop here, but he has a point. Honestly, I was thinking like the same thing. And I'm not saying I think that the US should not be held accountable if they do commit a war crime. But like the guy is pointing to, I'm not sure how exactly the US would face any international repercussions. And since he mentioned Russia and China, countries like Russia and China have worked with Iran in different areas, but particularly economically and for the military, right? And Russia and China are both known for a strong military and developing their nuclear forces. With the tension that's rising right now, the US wants to stay a top force in the global competition, as far as for what I learned. Like, I'm over here in America, and just very recently, colleges and high schools are allowing for students to use AI for doing their homework. It's not just for no reason, though. There is a political implication for this, since AI has integrated, or I should say, China has integrated AI in their educational system and for their military technology, like the US is doing, as well as with cybersecurity. So, generally, there's a lot of tension rising within the geopolitical dynamics. And with that all being said, there's a little bit of unpredictability about exactly what will happen next, but based on the reports about what has happened, uh, it's not looking good. That's all I'm gonna say, like, unfortunately. And there's valid concerns about the privacy and security. Yeah, but this has been my take about the recent political situation related to the US and Iran. Let me know your thoughts, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.